Hi guys! So here we are for our last two chapters of Muggie Maggie. When I finish reading the story, if you'd like to, you can go take an AR quiz. So here we go, chapter 7. For the next few days, Maggie was a busy message monitor because Mrs. Leeper sent her hurrying to one room after another. She was even sent to the library. The envelope grew shabby. Most messages contained her name, others did not. Maggie snatched moments in the hall to try to figure out words, but all she learned was that some teachers were careless about joining letters without lifting pencil from paper. How come you're delivering so many messages? Asked Kirby. Because she can't read cursive, said Courtney. And Miss Leeper doesn't know she can't snoop, said Kelly. And Miss Leeper knows she can't snoop, said Kelly. Miss Leeper wants me to deliver them, said Maggie. It makes her happy. I bet, said Kirby. On her way to the first grade room, Maggie discovered that all of Miss Leeper's notes looked exactly alike, which was funny peculiar, not funny haha. Feeling big and important in front of first graders, Maggie wondered about this as she listened to the little children play with the Velcro fasteners on their shoes. Rip, rip, rip. This teacher's answer to Miss Leeper did not contain her name, so Maggie was not much interested. It read, "Keep it up, you will wear this kid down." Oh, you can see. That's cool. And there's a picture. In the sixth grade room, Maggie felt as if she had shrunk because all the sixth graders stared at her, while the other teacher, a tall man with a ferocious beard, read the note. "There's the cootie," she heard a boy whisper. Maggie tossed her hair. The class teetered. Maggie wondered whether the boys called their teacher's beard a cootie motel. The man glanced at Maggie, grinned, and wrote a note on the back of an old spelling test. Then he crossed out his names on the ragged envelope, replaced it with Mrs. Leeper's name in one of the few spaces left, and handed it to Maggie, who was grateful to escape to the hall. When she peeked, Maggie found her own name just as she had in the other notes, but this time she found it twice. The note read, "I once had a bright kid like Maggie who thought she couldn't read cursive. She really could when she tried, but she wouldn't. Sounds like Maggie." Maggie, desperate to read, discovered this teacher was careless about joining letters. If she had time, maybe she could puzzle them out. But she knew that she was expected back in her own classroom. Sending someone to find her would not make Miss Leeper happy. Friday evening, Joanne telephoned to ask Maggie to spend the night at her house. Maggie said she couldn't. Joanne wanted to know why, and Maggie said she had to help her father. "I thought he did some kind of office work," said Joanne. "He does," said Maggie, thinking fast. "I know how to use our computer." She had not lied, not exactly, but she felt guilty. That weekend, Maggie studied every bit of cursive writing she could find. Her mother's tipping over backward grocery list, Miss Madden's neat handwriting notes mixed in with papers her father brought home from the office, anything. She did not try to read her father's writing. She knew it was hopeless. Maggie spent most of her time in her room with her door closed. With Kisser's nose resting on her foot and some old work papers in front of her, she frantically practiced cursive, including the difficult capitals Q, W, and F. Oh, we're going to learn those. "What are you doing, Maggie?" asked her mother through the door. "Nothing," answered Maggie, aware that her mother felt children were entitled to privacy and would not open the door. Letting her parents know she had changed her mind would make Maggie feel ashamed, like admitting she had been wrong. Maggie worked hard, and by Sunday evening she agreed with what Miss Leeper had been saying all along. Many cursive letters are shaped like printed letters. She knew she could read cursive as long as it was neat, and she practiced her signature with her letters leaning into the wind. Maggie Schultz, Maggie Schultz. When she finished, Maggie's face was flushed, her hair more tousled than usual, but she could write cursive. Maybe it wasn't perfect, but anyone past the second grade could read it. She went to her father, who was working at the computer. "Daddy, listen to me," she said, and her voice was stern. Mr. Schultz turned from the keyboard. "Okay, Maggie, what's up?" "In writing, neatness counts," Maggie informed him. "I expect it does," he agreed. "Then you should learn to close your loops and put the right number of peaks on your U's and write neatly," said Maggie. I'm going to pause this for a second. Okay, back to where we were, except I think I forgot where I was at. So then you should learn to close your loops and put the right number of peaks on your U's and write neatly, said Maggie. "Funny," Mrs. Madden says the same thing, said Mr. Schultz. "I try, cross my heart." Maggie was not sure she believed him. Next, Maggie went to her mother and announced, "You should make your writing lean the other way like it's supposed to and stop putting silly circles over your eyes." Mr. Schultz smiled and pushed Maggie's hair back from her flushed face. "I don't know about that, Angel Face," she said. "Everyone says my handwriting is distinguished." Maggie was tired and cross. "Well, it's wrong," she said, and she sighed so hard that Kisser looked anxious. Grown-ups were so hard to reform, maybe impossible. Chapter 8. On Monday, Maggie looked at the words Mrs. Leeper had written on the chalkboard and discovered she was reading them because she couldn't help it. Miss Leeper had written, "This is going to be a happy week. We are going on a field trip." Maggie was eager to carry the next message. She did not have to wait long for Miss Leeper to write a note for the principal. As soon as she closed the door, quietly, no slamming, Maggie slipped out the note that was written on the back of an old arithmetic paper and read the neatly formed words. "Maggie is now reading cursive. I saw her reading what I had written on the chalkboard. If she can read it, she can write it. She just won't admit it." Maggie was shocked. Maggie was angry. Miss Leeper had guessed she would peek. Maybe she had guessed all along, and now that Maggie could read cursive, she was saying mean things about her. But worst of all, Miss Leeper was waiting for an answer. Maggie wanted to crumple the note, but if she did that, Mrs. Leeper would want to know why Mr. Galloway had not sent a reply. She returned the note to its tattered envelope, dragged her feet into the principal's office, and thrust it at him. She stood staring at the floor while he read it. He murmured, and Maggie heard his pen move across paper. "There you go, Maggie," he said as he handed the remains of the envelope back to her. "Thank you." "You're welcome," said Maggie, and she got out of his office as fast as she could without running. Oh, look at Maggie. She does not look happy. She figured out what Mrs. Leeper's trick was to get her to try to figure out how to read cursive. I won't peek, I told herself. But of course, she finally had to peek. What normal third grader wouldn't want to know what the principal had to say in time of a crisis? The note said, "Hooray! I can tell by the way she behaves that you are right. Good teaching, Laura. I knew you could do it. Congratulations, Maggie." Figuring out the long word before her name took a while, and then, well, first of all, Maggie was astonished that Mr. Galloway would call a teacher by her first name. Then Maggie was indignant. Mrs. Leeper hadn't done a thing. Maggie had done all the work, and now her teacher was getting all the credit. Indignant means mad. Maggie dreaded returning to her classroom. She plodded along, trying to figure out how she could avoid it. She couldn't, not even if she took time to go to the bathroom. Sooner or later, she had to face her teacher with red cheeks. She handed her teacher the remains of the envelope and was about to hurry to her seat when Mrs. Leeper caught her hand, pulled Maggie to her, gave her a big hug, and said, "I don't think we need a message monitor anymore." Anyway, the envelope was worn out. She tossed it, along with the note, into a wastebasket and said, "This is a happy day, Maggie." Maggie was both pleased and confused. She had expected Miss Leeper to say something about cursive, but the teacher had not. She had not even said, "It's about time," or "I knew you could do it." She just smiled at Maggie, who finally felt she could smile back. "You know something, Miss Leeper?" Maggie said shyly. "Your cursive is neater than any other teacher's cursive." Miss Leeper laughed. "It has to be. I'm the one who teaches it." Maggie walked slowly to her seat. She could now make her letters flow together, and she had made her teacher happy. But maybe when she grew up and did not have to please grown-ups all the time, she might decide not to write cursive. She could print any time she wanted. She had plenty of time to think it over. "Muggie, Maggie," said Kirby. "Teacher's pet." Maggie decided against pushing the table into his stomach. Instead, she sat down and wrote a note in cursive, which she shoved across the table. Here's a picture of Maggie getting a hug from her teacher. "You stop pushing the table into my stomach. Sincerely, Maggie." Mm-hmm. The end. So this was another book by Beverly Cleary. So again, there's lots of books on the back here that you might be interested in reading. So these are great books for third graders. I think you'll enjoy them. And if you would like to, you can go take some time and take an AR quiz on this book and earn points towards your AR goal. Alrighty, guys, I think you're on to some social studies. I hope you guys are having a good day, and I'm thinking lots about you. See you guys Monday.